can't start it says I can't start my video
No
because the
videos.
host has stopped it.
No videos except for presenters.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Pam.
Thank you. Okay, well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us for Tax Matters with the Palm Desert Area Chamber of Commerce. So first, I'd like to go through just a few housekeeping things. We're having videos off for everybody this morning, except for our presenters. And it's not that we don't want to see your lovely faces. We do, of course, but we want to try to focus on the people that are speaking this morning. And so if you could make sure that you're muted, your video is off. And if you have questions as the speakers are talking, would you kindly put them into the chat box? And we will then, at the end of that particular person's presentation, we'll then bring those questions to the front. And so let me please begin by introducing you to our chairman of the board, ever popular, John Sloan.
Well, good morning, everybody. And I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times already. Happy New Year. And it is a new year. And we all expect that 2021 is going to be a totally different year than 2020. And I'm delighted to see that we have so many folks show up this morning. Of course, I expect that because we have some very illustrious individuals who are going to be making presentations today. And I guarantee you, they have some information that you really are going to want to hear about. We are recording this. We will make sure that those of you who may have to leave early, or those of you who have folks that you would like to have seen this program, make sure that it is out there for them as well. But at this time, I would like to say the Pledge of Allegiance. We have our flag. There we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic
For which it
which it
stands,
stands
one
nation
God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
and
and
justice.
justice for all.
Thank you. I would like to welcome all of our city council. By the fact that we have 44 people on, I can't tell who's here. I do see Gina Nastandi. I do see Kathleen Kelly. I see Jan Harnick. I see Sabby Jonathan. Am I missing anybody else?
Deborah Glickman is here as a business liaison.
Okay, I see Deborah.
Jan Harnick is also here.
Welcome and thank you for coming aboard. We really do appreciate your involvement. And at this point, I would just simply like to introduce Deborah Glickman. I'm sorry.
Kathleen Kelly.
Kelly, who will introduce Deborah Glickman. And I would like to say before that happens, Deborah Glickman and Lisa Napolitano did a great job last week of giving us some great information about what's going on with the city, and Lisa with the PPP and EIDL, all of those things. It was just a really very good a Zoom call, and that also was recorded for anybody that wants to see that. All right, Kathleen Kelly, it's all up to you.
Will video be turned on? There we go. Hi. On behalf of the whole city council, I want to feature 3 pieces of good news before I turn it over to Deborah's staff to feature some details for all of you. Yes, John, I too was going to begin by complimenting those who played a part in last week's webinar. The array of potential benefits is complex, and that was a huge gift from the chamber to organize that session. And of course, there will be need for follow-up because new benefits continue to emerge. The city is quite sensitive to the fact that each of the offerings from the federal government and the state have their complexities and their limitations. We are highly motivated to get help to those businesses most affected immediately to enable survival long enough to tap those other benefits. So at our council meeting this Thursday, there will be a proposal to further amplify the benefits available from the city, specifically for restaurants affected by the stay-at-home order who are compliant, therefore limited to takeout. And I don't, of course, the final approved version will depend on full council discussion, but the proposal does include easily forgivable loans of up to $10,000, depending upon the size of the operation. And it also includes a streamlined version of the Great Plates program, in which the city would fund delivery of meals to those in need, produced by our restaurants who need that support. So again, that's on the agenda for this Thursday. If you are a restaurant affected by the stay-at-home order, or you work with restaurants affected by the stay-at-home order, please contact us first thing Friday to get the scoop on what is approved. Secondly, in addition to trying to meet the crisis, of course, your city continues to plan for the future. We're pleased that staff will bring to us on Thursday a proposal to add, at least monthly at first, an additional farmers market on the weekend. And you can thank Councilmember Jonathan for carrying the torch on that particular cause. We're very, very pleased staff has come up with a proposal because this draws people to all our other businesses in the core of the city. It's been documented. If people come to the core of the city, they patronize more than just the business they came that first attracted them. So these kinds of events are beneficial for commerce generally within the city. The last thing I want to feature will have a ripple effect for our businesses. Ever since the general plan was adopted, the city has hoped to build out our North Sphere in a way that really creates some attractive neighborhood settings with a variety of housing options, recreational opportunities, and attractive walkable destinations. We've been stymied on moving forward with that because the atmosphere hasn't inspired developers to actually build. But perhaps in response to the increased real estate demand that the pandemic has engendered, we're seeing some real interest on the part of developers in moving forward to realize some of our plans. And this Thursday's agenda will also include some steps toward building out that vision for the North Sphere. We're very, very excited about that, not just because it achieves community benefits, but also because of the ripple effects for our businesses. So even in the face of these challenging times, good things are happening. And I turn it over to Deborah for some more details.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? I'm having a little technical difficulties on my side. Pam, if you could help me start my video, that would be great, please. Thank you, Mayor Kelly. Some amazing information coming your way. We have some other programs going on in the city. I hope by now everyone has heard about the city's distribution of free PPE for its businesses. CVEP, the Coachella Valley Economic Partnership, has secured face mask, face shields, and hand sanitizer in what they call the Million Mask Giveaway. They have granted all three of those PPE items to each of the 9 cities, and they are available for free for contactless pickup at the Palm Desert Community Center, and I'll put the address in the chat box. And that is available from Monday to Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So you drive up, you'll give them either a business card or the address of your business. And we have a staff member who will put the PPE in your trunk for you. So it's completely safe, completely contactless, and really exciting, a great way to be able to help our businesses. We're very thankful to CVEP for securing that donation. As we've discussed in past months, I believe, yes, the state of California has its small business assistance grant or loan available. Actually, it is grant, sorry. And I will put some information in there on how to reach out to them and find out more information. Lisa Napolitaniana, who was on our call last week, is a great resource for that. If you are going to fill out an application, I definitely suggest talking with her. I want to thank everyone who participated in the toy drive last month. City Hall was overwhelmed with a large number of toys to be donated in our community. I can't thank you enough, the city staff, the city council, everyone can't thank you enough for that, because it was a great success in a real time of need. In terms of store openings, last month I had a good list. This month it's a little smaller. We have Summer Colony Living, which has been on El Paseo, is expanding. So it's really good news that businesses are expanding at this time. We also have some other businesses opening throughout the city, a few on Fred Waring and 111 in what I think is being called the Bump and Grind Shopping Center. I'm not sure if that's the official name now or if we've just named it that. It's where Red Lobster is. Monsoon Indian Cuisine has opened up. Strength Code, which is a wellness business, and Barking Beauties, which is for our favorite pups, will be opening soon. So look out for those. The city continues to host a testing site for COVID. I'll put information on that in the chat room, as well as Westfield still has their testing site. And the city, one more item, the city has launched a great program. I really like it. It's called Step Up to the Table. And what that is a social media campaign to challenge people to purchase gift certificates and takeout meals from Palm Desert restaurants, and then post a picture of them either picking up the meal, eating the meal, video it, whatever your game is, to do that, and hashtag it Shop Local Palm Desert, and also throw a hashtag Unite Palm Desert in there, and then challenge 3 friends to do the same. So it's kind of like the ice bucket challenge that went around, I think, a couple of years ago. But this is now a Step Up to the Table Palm Desert challenge, challenging everyone to go ahead to our local businesses, buy gift cards, buy meals, and support our local restaurants. And I say, if you're throwing in a non-restaurant, still challenge people to buy gift certificates, or I sound kind of old when I say gift certificates, gift cards, I guess now, or buy their merchandise locally. So as always, I am here to answer any questions. We have our business support hotline that I will put in the chat room, as well as my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions, concerns, or just to say hi. I hope everyone has a nice week. And that's all for today. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them now.
Any questions for anybody for Deb?
No questions showing.
Okay, we will move on. Deb, thank you so much. We appreciate you, not only as a city liaison, but the liaison with the Palm Desert Chamber of Commerce. And thank you, Mayor Kathleen Kelly, for those energetic words. I really do feel as though we've got a lot of energy going on right now, and we appreciate the relationship with the city. At this time, we have 3 presenters. And each of the presenters is going to be taking 10 minutes to present the information that they have. Unfortunately, we have 10 pounds of information to put in a 5-gallon bucket. And everyone is going to do their best to present the information that they have for their particular venue. And then also there will be questions at the end, but we will hold those. So our first presenter is going to be Kelly Cox. Kelly is a CPA and partner with CGC and Miraz Accountants and Advisors. And Kelly, I guess you're going to share your screen, and welcome and thank you for participating and helping us with all of the critical information that we're going to need for doing our taxes.
Well, thank you all. Looks like we have a great turnout, and yeah, you're right. There's so much new information. I'm trying to summarize just the really very high points. As I was going through, there. As I was going through all the information, I tried to pull out things that everyone has in common. But the amount of change in this last year through 3 or 4 new tax laws is amazing. So I'm going to do some very, very top highlights. The most important thing I think to know about filing your 2020 taxes for a lot of people is that unemployment is taxable. And I know a lot of people didn't think about this, or you have to have unemployment, so you're not worried about it. But when tax time comes up, there is going to be a tax bill. And if you worked, took unemployment, and then went back to work, your tax rate may be higher. So it's taxable to the IRS, but not to California. So there's a little golden lining there. Another thing to know, if you took an early withdrawal from your 401k under the CARES Act, which allowed for emergency distributions from 401ks with no penalties, for 2020, you're going to pay tax on 1/3 of that withdrawal. The way that worked was that you would pay tax ratably over 3 years. And if you return that withdrawal to your 401k at the end of the 3 years, you get your tax back. So that may be a surprise. Also, people that took money out are going to have a tax bill this year for it. Not as big as they would have without the CARES Act. Stimulus is huge. Obviously, everyone's had questions about that, but both stimulus checks for 2020 should be trued up on your 2020 tax return. If you received less than you're eligible for in 2020, you'll get more money back on your tax return. If your income was lower in 2019 and higher in 2020, and you aren't eligible in 2020 for the whole thing, you won't pay a penalty. So that one should be really interesting. You're going to need to track the payments that you actually got. A lot of people got partial payments because of their income levels. So there's going to be a lot of scrambling to see what checks actually came in. And I haven't seen that those tax returns are updated yet for the $600, but that is what is supposed to happen. As from the last couple of years, we had the changes from 2018, which raised the standard deduction. This year, it's $12,400 for single, married filing joint, it's $24,800. So a lot of people stopped itemizing deductions on their return. The CARES Act added an additional deduction for charity, which is limited to $300 per return, whether you're single or married filing joint. So if you did any charitable deductions, you'll get that added advantage that'll be added on to your standard deduction. Also remember that you can still make an IRA contribution of $6,000 or $7,000 if you're 50 or over until April 15 towards your 2020 taxes if you have earned income. So again, unemployment will not count for earned income. So some people may not be able to take advantage of that even if they were planning on it. The residential solar credit is still in play. For 2020, it's 26% of the purchase cost, drops to 22% in 2021, and then is scheduled to sunset. That's one of the laws that keeps on being extended, so that may be extended going forward. But if you're thinking about doing solar, it's time to get it done and take advantage of that credit. So one of the main things that we're dealing with is the IRS, and the IRS closed its service centers several times for COVID. I'm still hearing that they have truckloads of mail that they haven't opened. We have notices coming out that we're dealing with daily for saying that people owe taxes for checks that they sent in 3 or 4 months ago. It's really been a mess. It's been difficult to deal with. When we filed paper returns, some of them are still haven't been looked at after maybe 6 months. So what we're trying to tell people is try to do everything that you can electronically. You can pay online. If you go to irs.gov, you can make your estimated payments there. You can make your tax payments there. Make sure to file your returns electronically if you can. Try not to send anything on paper because the response time could be a year at this point, and the chances of them losing the payments or not cashing your check are very high at this point. So we're really trying hard to do everything online and make sure it goes through. If you did send a check and it hasn't been cashed, we are recommending that you not stop payment because once they finally find it and cash it, then if it's stopped payment, you'll have now paid late. So that's a mess. And another thing to know for 2020 is the tax credits for electric vehicles are still available. A lot of people are buying those and taking advantage of them. Tesla has used up all of its credits, but there are quite a few vehicles that are still eligible for those credits. And I put the link to the website on the PowerPoint. I'm happy to share that or send that to anybody. It gives you the list of cars that are eligible and what the tax credit is. So just as soon as we looked at all the law changes for 2020 with the CARES Act, and there was a Secure Act earlier in the year, and thought we knew what we were doing, along came the second stimulus and the additional Coronavirus Response and Relief Act. Which is great. We're happy to get that second stimulus, but every time those type of packages pass, there's usually some kind of law change that goes with it. I wouldn't be surprised with the next round of $2,000 stimulus if that happened again. So with the ACRRA, most of the laws apply to 2021 and forward. One of the charitable deduction that we get in 2020 is increased to single 300 and married filing joint 600. For those of you that do large charitable deductions, one of the CARES Act provisions was that you can deduct charitable contributions up to 100% of your AGI, which is a change from it's usually 60%. So if you have planned a large contribution in one year, you can take advantage of, if it's all the way up to your income, you can take advantage of that large deduction. That's been extended to 2021. And if you took the early withdrawal from your 401k, my apologies, that's a copy. You'll pay tax of a third of this year and 2021 and 2022. Some of the additional laws that are continuing, the Secure Act in early 2020 extended the age requirement for RMDs to 72 instead of 69 and a half. So those that have 401k money that in the past were required to take it at 69 and a half, and are now required to take it at 72. They did not have to take it in 2020 at all. But in 2021, that provision did not carry forward. Those that turned 72 and that were already required to take RMDs will have to continue taking them. And another one of the new parts of the ACRRA that I think a lot of people, and a lot of the other tax provisions that a lot of people like, is that employers may pay up to $5,250 per year of student loan tax debt for their employees. This is something for employees to discuss with their employers if they don't know about it. I think it's a really good advantage. It's tax-free to both the employee and a deduction to the employer. So this will really help out a lot of our young people that are fighting that student debt. So in looking forward, and I see I'm almost at the end of my 10 minutes already, but quickly looking forward, with Democratic control of the House and Senate, the likelihood is high that Biden's proposed tax changes will pass. But we're not expecting that to happen very quickly. We're expecting a strong focus on pandemic recovery. Some of the changes are income over 400,000 tax bracket will increase to 39.6%. Favorable capital gains tax rates may be eliminated for those making over $1 million. 1031 exchanges may be limited, and estate tax is one of the big ones that everyone's been talking about. The step up in basis for estate tax may be eliminated, and the exemption may be reduced to 3 to 5 million. That's pretty much a given. Everyone's expecting that one. It's just we're not sure when it'll happen. The good things to look forward to are increases to the child tax credit and dependent care credit to benefit lower incomes, forgiveness of student loan debt, and exclusions of the forgiven debt from income. So overall, the tax changes look to be increase on tax on higher incomes and benefit for lower incomes. So there's a lot more to come on that.
Thank you very much, Kelly. A lot of great information there. Do we have any questions? I know that there was one. What does trued up mean?
There will be a spot on your tax return. There's a tax credit for those stimulus payments. And there will be a spot on your tax return that shows it's now $1,800 or whatever you are eligible to receive for that stimulus payment. And you'll be required to say what you did actually receive. And if you're eligible for more, you'll get it back with your 2020 return.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Our next presenter is Jenna and Hamilton Allman, CPA and Partners Allman and Allman, APAC. Jenna, welcome and take it away.
Thank you so much, John. Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Thank you to the Chamber for asking us to participate. We do have a lot of information to cover, so I'm going to move quickly. Please make note of any questions, and then we'll go ahead and address them at the end. I'm going to go ahead and take a minute to start my timer, make sure I stay moving along here. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay. That's myself and my husband, who's also my partner. We have offices here in Palm Desert and also in Torrance. So business taxes 2020, what changes have occurred? What does the stimulus package that just passed mean for you? And what changes can we expect moving into 2021? So first thing, lots of small business relief throughout 2020 and throughout the pandemic. You know, the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, the CARES Act, and then of course our most recent legislation, the Coronavirus Response and Relief Act. So Families First Act, the two main things that established were the two paid sick leave programs. One was new, and then one was a change to the existing FMLA. So both of these programs were in effect and mandatory from April 2nd to December 2020. Now, these did not get extended. They are now voluntary for the first quarter of 2021. So we'll talk more about that in just a minute. So who does it apply to? All businesses with less than 500 employees, and also those that have qualifying COVID-19 events. There's a list of criteria. So the paid sick leave, that has to cover employees who are quarantined, have symptoms, seeking diagnosis. It's 2 weeks of paid sick leave. It's 511 max per day. Also too, if an employee is caring for someone with COVID, or also their children's school is closed, it's 2/3 of their regular pay, not to exceed 200, and again, 2 weeks. It is a refundable credit for businesses. Also to any health insurance that's covered during their leave, and also a credit for the Medicare tax, the employer share. Now, there is no employer Social Security matching on these wages, which is good news. And all employees are eligible, anybody that is part-time, and also new hires. Now, the paid family leave, this is for an additional 10 weeks of paid leave. And that's also at 2/3 the employee's salary. And again, it's going to be because there's a bona fide need for coverage because their children's school is closed and they don't have childcare. Now, businesses with fewer than 50 employees may qualify for an exemption if in fact they can demonstrate that it's going to create an issue and they're not going to be able to continue on as a going concern. There is specific criteria. It's on the Department of Labor website. So the exemptions, as far as main things, you know, it has to be certified by an authorized officer, and they have to demonstrate that it meets certain criteria, and they have outlined that now. There wasn't a lot of guidance on that before, but they have provided more guidance on that. Now, again, both of these programs are voluntary for the first quarter of 2021, and you still can take the credits. So how do you claim the credits? Well, those are on your payroll tax returns. So the 941, if you in fact can go ahead and fund it and then wait for your payroll tax returns to get the credits. There's also two other ways. If you can't wait for the money, you know, that is withholding the federal taxes. Everybody's heard a lot about that. And also too, you can request advance credit on IRS Form 7200. Now, the CARES Act, the second piece of legislation that was put into, that went into law at the end of March, you know, that really expanded and created some of the economic assistance that small business really needed. Paycheck Protection Program, it expanded the existing SBA EIDL loans, and also provided for an employer retention credit and updated some business tax provisions. So Paycheck Protection Program, the good news there, everybody I'm sure has been hearing about it, is that now for federal tax purposes, you can deduct the expenses paid with forgiven PPP money. California does not conform. So what does that mean? Well, there's still a lot of questions, and we're kind of unclear as far as how that's going to work. We're still waiting for the Franchise Tax Board to issue guidance. So our recommendation is make sure that you wait until you get that guidance before you apply for forgiveness. The EIDLs, you know, businesses that receive the EIDL loans, it's important that you keep good records. And also note that there is a lack of privacy. Those that applied The business information is published and is available to the general public. So keep that in mind. Now, the employer retention credit, good news here too, because of the recent legislation. Those businesses that did participate in the Paycheck Protection Program are going to be able to participate. So some of the things that were addressed on our last meeting regarding some of this stuff, we talked a little bit about that. So SBA is suggesting to wait to file for forgiveness. Let's see how you can maximize the different credits. There is a maximum of 10,000 per employee. Now, employers, including tax exempt organizations, are in fact going to be eligible. They do have to meet two different criteria, either full or partial suspension of operations. Most businesses are going to qualify under that, or they've experienced a significant decline in gross receipts. There's some, you have to really kind of look at the detail there. That's not something I'm going to cover right at this moment. But credits do apply for qualified wages and also including health insurance. And one thing to note that's very important, and why it's going to be important that you go ahead and get with someone who has experience and knows how they can help guide this, is there's no double benefit. So if you're going to participate in the employer retention credit, you've got to make sure that you don't count the wages that you're using under other credit programs, that paid family sick leave. Wages can't be counted if you're participating in the paid leave under Section 45S of the IRS, an existing program. And also too, you can't use the same wages that are being counted for work opportunity tax credit. So want to be careful there, definitely get some professional advice. Now, under some business tax provision updates under the CARES Act, a big one, NOLs are back for federal tax purposes. Net operating losses, part of the TCJA, it suspended those. Now it's all carry forward. This new legislation is going to go ahead and let us look at 2018, 19, and 20, and any NOLs we're going to be able to carry back 5 years. So very important for those businesses struggling. They've also suspended the 80% of income. Now you can use it against 100%. There's also, there's also some, the business interest expense limitation. There's been some changes there, and a technical correction to the 100% bonus depreciation for qualified improvement property. So they did go ahead and fix that, and that was good news there. Now the NOLs, again, the TCJA made carrybacks no longer available. So really good news that the CARES Act has established modifications there. So 5-year carryback, and again, the 80% income limitation is suspended. One thing to note, and of course your CPA or tax preparer will go over that with you, but the elections have to be made to forego the carryback, and there's going to be relief. Obviously, this law didn't exist when the 2018 and 19 taxes were filed, so going to need to just make sure those elections are filed timely with the existing returns for this year. So going into what the legislation that just passed at the end of December, what can we expect from the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act? Say that 10 times real fast. So everybody has heard the Paycheck Protection Program is back for a second round. And the good news is the 501c36 organizations are going to be able to participate. The EIDL disaster loans and grants are available again. Contractor paid leave, so contractors are going to be able to participate. Of course, the employer retention credit that we talked about, that is extended to June 30th. And then both of those paid family leave programs that were mandatory between April and December of 2020, again, going to be voluntary, and employers will be able to take the tax credits there. Now, one thing that is important regarding those paid family leaves, and there were a lot of questions around this, and we've gotten more clarification, is, the 80 hours, the 2 weeks, and the 10 weeks of leaves, their banks are not replenished. So what does that mean? Employers can go ahead and allow carryovers. So let's say, for example, an employee was only out for 5 days. So they do have 5 more days that they can go ahead and utilize in the first quarter of 2021. Same thing with the 10-week partial, but it doesn't allow for a restart of those banks. And an interesting point here is that if the employee has exhausted that leave with another employer, they don't have the right to utilize it with the second employer. How they're going to work out those details and how you're going to know that information is going to be interesting. So now make sure, if as an employer, that you still require proper documentation. You're going to need to be able to demonstrate that if you're audited. And then let me move my screen here. You know, the tax credits are still available. So for example, it's for wages that were covered from January to March. So you might see some of those credits even appearing into April for wages that were in March. 2021 taxes. So good news here, 100% business meals deduction is allowed for calendar years 2021 and 2022 to help the restaurant industry. Currently it's 50%, so that's going to be great for the next 2 years. Section 179 bonus depreciation, 100% for federal tax purposes through 2022, and used property qualifies. Standard mileage rates, 56 cents per mile for the business, charity 14 cents, and then medical and moving mileage 16 cents per mile. And then some tax extenders here. Good news, 5-year extension on the paid family and medical leave for employers that do provide that. General business credit, work opportunity credit, that's been extended for another 5 years. The student loans, employers paying student loans or education benefits, that also has been extended for another 5 years. And then an interesting piece, energy efficient building equipment is now made permanent under Section 179D. So change is the only constant. You know, expect many evolving changes through 2021 with the new administration coming in. Make sure that you work with a CPA who can help you stay on top of the facts, that is keeping up to date, and then utilize the many resources that are available. SBA's website, the Treasury Department, and of course, IRS and Franchise Tax Board. So with that, I will open it up for any questions. Those 12 minutes went fast.
Yeah, we do have a question. You were talking about the credits, the CARES Act credits, I believe, and you skipped past slide number 12. So the question was how to claim the credit.
Okay, so this is for both the paid family leave programs and the employee retention credit. So that is going to be on form 941. If you actually look at that form, it has been updated and there are line items where those credits can be taken on the payroll tax return. And, you know, like I said, if you can't wait to take the credits on your payroll tax return, you can withhold certain mandatory federal taxes. So for example, the Social Security and Medicare taxes from the employee, also federal income tax, or you can also request advance credit from the IRS, and that's an additional form 7200. So there are ways to go ahead and get relief now to help pay for that, or you can wait and take it as a credit on your 941.
Thank you. I see no further questions.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thank you so much, Jenna. Appreciate it. That was a lot of information as well. And now we have Sabby Jonathan, who's a CPA and managing partner for Jonathan and Associates. And Sabby was so kind to let the ladies go first. What a gentleman. Sabby, welcome, and it's all yours.
Thank you, John. Actually, you didn't give me a choice, so don't give me credit for that. Hey, before I get started, I want to submit my entry for the Mel Mason lookalike contest. What do you think? Huh?
Love
Pretty
you,
good,
Savvy.
right? Declutter that, Mel.
No need, baby.
I love that shot. Okay, let's see if I can now get my screen shared. Bear with me. All right, am I there? Am I sharing my screen there?
Yes, we can see that clearly. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. So, boy, a lot of good information already, right? I know I learned a lot, and I'm planning to claim some CPE credit, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. As you have seen, there is a multiplicity of financial assistance. Multiplicity, John, means there's a lot of different things available. Financial assistance for our small businesses, federal level, state level, county level, and as you heard from Mayor Kathleen Kelly, at the city level as well. My role today is to make sure that you are all aware of the new round of PPP loans that have recently come out. So this is part of a $900 billion COVID-19 relief bill. 900 billion with a B. Of course, the federal government can print money, so that's not an issue. In that program is $525 billion in a new round of forgivable PPP loans. So that's great news there. Now, the PPP loans that are coming out this week actually are split into two categories. Let me touch on the first round PPP loans. This would apply to businesses that didn't participate in the PPP loans last year. Either they didn't apply, and you know, PPP is Paycheck Protection Program. Either they didn't apply for the PPP loans or they applied and didn't get them. You get a chance for another bite at the apple. It's a new round of PPP loans, which opened up yesterday, by the way, Monday, January 11th, and goes through March 31st. You must have fewer than 500 employees. Now available to sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals. So don't think you have to be a corporation or a partnership. And furthermore, these loans are available to nonprofits, including churches and synagogues and so forth. So, you know, spread the word, because I'm not sure that all churches and synagogues are aware of that. And these loans are available to 501c6 business leagues. Hello, Chamber. Pam, are you applying? Are you submitting an application right now for the Chamber? I assume you are. And so that kind of covers the first draw of PPP loans. Let's take a look at the new second draw PPP loan. So what am I talking about here? Folks, this applies to those businesses who did apply and receive a PPP loan last year. Guess what? You can do it again under certain circumstances. So let's take a look at what they are. First of all, it opens up not just this week, but actually we've been told tomorrow. So the second draw PPP loans open up tomorrow, Wednesday the 13th, I believe. And these loans are up to $2 million, so they can be rather sizable. It's for businesses that have fewer than 300 employees. And this is the catch. You must have a 25% drop in revenue. What does that mean? Well, when the bill first came out, the bill itself provided that for any calendar quarter in 2020, if revenues were 25% or more lower than the same calendar quarter in 2019, then you would qualify. But guess what? The rules came out and they liberalized this provision. So the 25% drop can be quarter over quarter, or it can be for the entire calendar year. So a lot of businesses obviously have experienced a drop in revenue and will likely qualify for the second round of PPP loans. By the way, you must have used all the proceeds from the first round in order to qualify for this. What else? Let's take a look at the fine print for a second. The amount of the loan is still, you know, it's not unlimited. You can't just pick a number. It has to be 2.5 times your average monthly payroll. And by the way, for you tricksters out there, you can't just, you know, artificially inflate payroll for yourself, for example. Payroll for the purposes of this calculation is limited to $100,000 per year. Now, to be forgivable, we have eligible expenses that would qualify for forgiveness, and this cuts to what you spend the money on. We have the old ones, which you may recall were payroll, and that's up to 60%, rent, mortgage interest, and utilities. But now we have new expenses that will qualify you for forgiveness. And those include PPE expenses, unless you're getting it for free from the city of Palm Desert, thanks to CVEP, as well as facility modification. What does that mean? Well, you know, we've all gone into these restaurants and they have plexiglass between the booths. That's a modification. Also payments to suppliers will qualify. Operating expenses such as software, product delivery, payroll processing, human resource, and accounting fees. And then get this, uninsured property damage caused by looting or vandalism. Sad, but it's in there. Are we all ready to say goodbye and good riddance to 2020? I think so. Now, how about some good news? So, forgiveness period. You were stuck to a specific period that you had to look at, and this changed a couple times in 2019. You can now choose your own forgiveness period. In other words, you can take a period anywhere between 8 and 24 weeks, and if the expenses get you to full forgiveness, you're good. You can literally select that period now. I would say that's good news. As was mentioned earlier, expenses paid using PPP loan proceeds are deductible for federal purposes, not so for California, but we'll take the federal. So I think that qualifies for good news. Hey, I want to share with you a little story here. This is kind of really weird. So when the PPP loan program came out, the proceeds were intended to be tax-free, and the IRS said, no, that's a forgiveness of debt, and that's taxable technically under Section 108 of the Internal Revenue Code. And Congress said, no, we didn't mean the forgiveness to be taxable. It's not taxable. So IRS actually stubbornly did an end around and said, fine, then the expenses that are paid out of the proceeds will not be deductible because they come out of non-taxable sources. And Congress said, no, that's not our intent. So this latest bill is what made it clear and said in writing, the expenses, the forgiveness is not taxable and the expenses are deductible. That, folks, is a story you can share at your next cocktail party, whenever that happens. And here is absolutely the best news of all. I am so excited about this. There is a simplified forgiveness program. This is for loans, PPP loans of up to $150,000. You literally will just need to file a one-page certification to get the loan forgiven that simply lists the number of employees that were retained, the estimated amount that was spent on payroll, and the loan amount. Folks, the government is making it easy to get these PPP loans forgiven. So go get yourself one, get it forgiven. It is essentially free money to help you get through this latest crisis. And that is for sure good news. Now, there is danger ahead. This is a bonus round. This is unscripted, John. I have the floor, so you've got to indulge me here. I just wanted to share with everybody what may be coming up in 21. And again, my colleagues touched on it a little bit. That's a great slide, by the way, very appropriate. Biden there, President-elect Biden saying that in his campaign speeches of his intention to change taxes. How? Well, the top rate will go from 37 to 39.6%. If you're not in the top rate, don't worry about it because your rate will go up as well. Nobody gets left out of this. Corporate rates are increased by 1/3. They go from 21% to 28%. Long-term capital gains get doubled for some individuals, going from 20% to nearly 40%. And we have increased Social Security tax because, hey, somebody has to pay for those millennials' retirement, right? So that's going to be you and me, I guess, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the changes that are coming up are a little bit unknown, but beware in your tax planning because there's a significant possibility that taxes will be going up. With that, I thank you.
Boy, Sabby, that was such great news that you concluded with. We really do appreciate that.
I'm so sorry, but you know, I got to keep it real.
Well, you know what? You've both, so Kelly, Jenna, and you have expressed the greatest reasons why we need a good CPA somebody that could really help us with our tax return. So thank you very much for that.
Thank
We
you.
do have a question in the chat box. Sabby, they're asking which form or what form is needed for the forgiveness application.
So if you're, so forgiveness application takes one of two routes. Typically, you got the loan through a financial institution, and I'm happy to say that these financial institutions typically have kind of a self-help wizard. You go online in the same place that you got the loan, and they'll walk you through the forgiveness process. And as my colleague said, a lot of this is yet to be written, right? I mean, it just came out. So the SBA is processing the procedure. That one-page simplified process that I talked about is not out yet. It's described in the bill, and we have some preliminary rules, but we don't have the actual form. So my answer is a little bit hazy, and I apologize for that, but it's a little bit of stay tuned. We'll all find out together.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Abby. Appreciate that.
Thank
Do we have any parting words from Jenna or Kelly at this point?
Nothing here. I think we covered quite a bit. So please don't hesitate to reach out if we can answer any other questions.
Exactly. And thank you for your patience. This is a lot of detailed information.
Well, thanks again. We really do appreciate all the information that you've provided, and I know that it's going to be beneficial for those that are on the call today. At this time, I'd like to introduce Kathy Rappaport with Flash Frozen Photography. She likes F words, and she is going to talk about the ambassadors. Are you there, Kathy?
I am here.
All right.
Of course I'm here. Thank you. I start my video. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. It was very informative. I normally have an Ambassador of the Month award to give to someone, but our ambassadors pretty much had holiday time off, and we haven't had any live and in-person events. But I want to encourage our guests and our members. Our chamber is very active, proactive in different activities to keep us all engaged in business. And if you are not a member, I suggest that you talk to Pam Scanell or me or John Sloan. We'll be happy to give you some information about joining the chamber. And if you're a chamber member and you're looking to be more involved, our ambassador team would very much welcome you. So please reach out to me, Kathy, at flashfrozenphotography.com, and I'd be happy to go over what we need from you to be an ambassador and get you involved. Even though we're virtual, there are things for us to do, and we so appreciate your involvement.
Thank you, Kathy. And now Pam Scanell, our CEO for the Palm Desert Area Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning and thank you. Wonderful presentations this morning. Thank you so much, everybody. Just giving you a little update on some of the things going on with the chamber at the moment. You may have heard mention about the e-gift card that's going around. Now, the e-gift card program is very easy to be able to accept it at your own place of business. Just go to our website, pdacc.org, and click on Shop Local or Shop Palm Desert, or click on the e-gift card button, and it will explain all. Very simple. It's a MasterCard number. As long as you can hand key it into your point of sale system, you'll be able to accept the card. Now, the card can only be used at participating businesses. So we welcome one and all businesses to sign up to be able to accept this card and help us push the Shop Local campaign to a program that really ensures people can only shop locally. Now, if people are concerned about a business maybe falling by the wayside, that can't happen with the e-gift card because it can be used at all participating businesses. So whether it's hypnotherapy, photography, restaurant, a retail, anybody that participates, the card will be good for. So please check that out if you will. The chamber is also participating in a PPE supply giveaway with the graciousness of the city of Palm Desert. They have afforded a grant to allow us to give away some supplies. And we're doing that on the Mondays. Now, we're not trying to clash with the city at all. We would like to just be sure that if you're out and about collecting those supplies from the city, you swing by the chamber between 10 to 2. And we will have gallon jugs of hand sanitizer. We'll have disinfectant trigger spray bottles and masks and face shields while supplies last. So all you need is to give us your business license number and we'll be able to log that down. You must be a Palm Desert business to allow us to be able to pass those supplies on to you. Now, we're also working with our restaurant association, the Palm Desert Restaurant Association. That is starting to gain strength, and we will be making some announcements for that. So if you are a Palm Desert restaurant, please contact us so that we can put you on the list to share information, and just write to ceo@pdacc.org. That's it for the moment, John.
All right, there was one additional question. If Sabby, Jenna, or Kelly is on, the question is, our nonprofit is going to be completing our first audit this year. Has there been any changes in the auditing process due to the pandemic?
I'm going to give a very quick answer of no, but I'll defer to my colleagues as well.
Okay.
There was a temporary suspension of any new audits starting, so there was some relief last year for that, but no, I'm not aware of any changes to the process at all.
Okay. I guess that will, that should suffice to answer that question. All right, everyone. Thanks again for your participation. Appreciate it very much. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you, Sabby. We really do appreciate you and all the great information that you've provided. I wish everybody a great day and a phenomenal 2021. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks so much. Take care.